The disappearance of Cinderella. The kingdom was in a state of despair. The prince had searched far and wide, scouring every corner of the land for his beloved Cinderella. But no matter how hard he tried, he could not find her. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, the prince grew more and more despondent. His once cheerful disposition was replaced by a deep sense of melancholy, and the kingdom suffered as a result. The prince's advisors begged him to give up the search and move on, but he could not bring himself to do so. Cinderella was the love of his life, and he was determined to find her no matter the cost. One dark and stormy night, the prince decided to take matters into his own hands. He would search for Cinderella himself, even if it meant braving the darkest depths of the forest. Dressed in his finest garments and armed with nothing but a candle and a map, the prince set out into the storm. The winds howled and the rain pounded against his face, but he did not falter. As he made his way deeper into the forest, the prince began to sense that he was being watched. Strange noises echoed throughout the trees, and he could feel the presence of something malevolent lurking just beyond the reach of his candlelight. Despite his fear, the prince pressed on, driven by his love for Cinderella. He knew that she must be out there somewhere, and he would not rest until he had found her. As the night wore on and the prince's senses began to fail him, he stumbled through the underbrush, barely able to see where he was going. And then, just when he thought he could go no further, he saw a faint light in the distance. With a surge of hope, the prince rushed towards the light, barely noticing the gnarled roots and brambles that tore at his clothes and skin. And then, just when he thought he had reached the end of his journey, he saw her. Cinderella stood before him, her face bathed in the soft glow of the moon. She was more beautiful than the prince had ever seen, and he fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. But as he reached out to take her hand, he saw a look of pure terror in her eyes, and then, in an instant, she was gone. The prince stood there, alone in the darkness, as the realization dawned on him. Cinderella was not the love of his life. She was something far more sinister, something that had lured him into the forest with the promise of love and then vanished into the night. And as the prince turned and fled back the way he had come, he knew that he would never be the same again. The horrors he had encountered in the forest had left a mark on his soul, and he would carry them with him for the rest of his days.